Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. Today I'm talking about books that were read in high school. I know it doesn't sound very interesting, but if you think back to when you were in high school, or even elementary school, or somewhere in between, that there were certain books that were mandatory to read. Nowadays, there's such a variety of books, and some are being banned because they're controversial, or someone doesn't like the subject they're on, and that is a big debate, especially within libraries and even public libraries. But when I think about some of the stories that I had to read when I was in high school, and some of them I enjoyed it. I liked reading the book so much that I made a note of it so I could read it later. And then there were books that I just didn't like. Sometimes it just rubbed me the wrong way, or I did not enjoy them. Or I also found authors that I liked, how they wrote and what they wrote about. And then there were authors that, even if they were like classic authors, I did not like what they wrote about. It, was boring, or I didn't like their writing style. To be honest, I'm not a fan of Hemingway. Big fan of Shakespeare and Walt Whitman and Ayn Rand. There also Edith Wharton, who wrote Ethan Frome. And these are just wonderful books. And I see why they have mandatory books that, kids must read. I enjoyed Tom Sawyer, but I did not like Huckleberry Finn. And my reason is because even though I know it was way back when, but they used that derogatory N-word in there a lot, and I understand that's how they referred to their slaves. But I am not a bigot, and I have a hard time having to read those words, and I've always been that way. I read what I had to in order to, write whatever the summary or assignment was after we read a book. But sometimes you have to push through something you don't like to read. Then I fell in love with the writings of Ayn Rand, and my favorite, she's author of Anthem and The Fountainhead and probably a million more that I can't even think of right now. But Anthem was my favorite of her work. And I hope to do more shows on other classic books that, I read in high school and I enjoyed, and I wonder, why didn't I go back and read that? Or there were classic books that, I didn't read. I knew about them, or I knew the plot line of it. It's like something everybody knows. But then, so I've read books that I've heard about, the classic books. Some books I like to read repeatedly, and then there are books that I would just read once, and then there's that, and then it's done. And I must say that I have several various bookshelves around my apartment that have books sitting on them, and they were read once, or they were I didn't get a chance to read them. And so I created an eBay used or pre-read books bookstore The information there is on my website, Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, and it'll take you to eBay. I'm old. Well, not too old. I'm, in my very early 50s. That's all I'm giving out. But, it's, I have accumulated so many books over the years. When my father was living in his apartment, he and I would share books. We would swap them out. We did that with our music as well, vinyls and CDs. We shared them. But the books were a really big thing. So if my father read a book that he knew I would enjoy, and vice versa, we would give it to each other. There are several times I gave him back his books, and I'm like, "Oh, Dad, can I read that book again?" And so I miss doing that with my dad. My dad is now in a memory care facility, and I really miss him. But I send him books and magazines, and I was told by the staff that when he's finished reading them, he shares the magazines, the books with the other residents of where he lives. And so I try to keep that connection with my dad. Because of my compromised immune system, I can't always see him, and he's not very tech savvy, so he's resistant to doing video chats at this time. I would love to do a video chat with my dad. Anyway, that's something that, reading just kind of, it gave us more to talk about, and especially my dad. My dad has an IQ of 162, and when he was diagnosed with dementia, I had asked if they know if he lost his intelligence, just because he can't remember some things. And sometimes people do, and sometimes people don't. At least he knows he is able to read still and comprehend what he reads. So I'm guessing that, there's part of my dad's still in there. So, and he doesn't remember who I am, but he remembers in his heart. And I could tell because that's the way he would look at me, or tell people about me, because I check in on him when it's supposed, when I can, and see how he's doing. Back to what I was talking about, Anthem with Ayn Rand, and it's one of those things that is just, I wanted to read again and again, so I did buy it for my Kindle. And sometimes you can get some pretty good republished classic books on Amazon. If they're Kindle, or I do like getting a paperback when possible. But sometimes you can find a book that's under $5, sometimes free. And that's not even using the Kindle Unlimited, which I am not a participant of, because when you write a review, it is not considered a verified purchase. And since I write reviews, I want to give the author the chance to have it verified or not. So moving forward and talking again about Anthem, and if you have not read it, and it is very interesting. I think it was my very first dystopian book that I've ever read, but it was just something that always stuck with me. So I'm just going to read an excerpt out of it. and share it with you. And I hope that just this entices you to want to pick up some classic books. It's like, if you're an author and you've been writing for years and years and years, and you're always promoting your next book, but, go back, promote the books you wrote years ago, give them a new cover, revamp them. And anyway, so I'm going to just read this. So that's just some food for thought, and I know I always kind of go off on a tangent, but I'm going to read Anthem. It was originally written in 1938 by Ayn Rand. A-Y-N, Rand, R-A-N-D. Part 1. It is a sin to write this. It is a sin to think words no others think, and to put them down upon a paper no others are to see. It is base and evil. It is as if we were speaking alone to no ears but our own. And we know well that there is no transgression blacker than to do or think alone. We have broken the laws that say that men may not write unless the council of vocation bid them so. May we be forgiven. But this is not the only sin upon us. We have committed a greater crime, and for this crime there is no name. What punishment awaits us if we be discovered, we know not, for no such crime has come in the memory of men, and there are no laws to provide for it. It is dark here. The flame of the candle stands in the air. Nothing moves in this tunnel save our hand on the paper. We are alone here under the earth. It is a fearful word, alone. The laws say none among men may be alone, ever and at any time, for this is a great transgression and the root of all evil. But we have broken many laws, and now there is nothing to save our one body, and it is strange to see only 2 legs stretched out on the ground, and on the wall before us the shadow of our one head. The walls are cracked, and the water runs upon them in thin threads without sound, black and glistening as blood. We stole the candle from the larder of the home of the street sweepers. We shall be sentenced to 10 years in the palace of corrective detention if it be discovered. But this matters not. It only matters that the light is precious, and we should not waste it to write when we need it for that work which is our crime. Nothing matters save the work, our secret, our evil, our precious work. Still, we must also write, for may the council have mercy upon us. We wish to speak for once to no ears but our own. Our name is Equality 7-2521, as it is written on the iron bracelet which all men wear on their left wrists with their names upon it. We are 21 years old. We are 6 foot tall, and this is a burden for there are not many men who are 6 feet tall. Ever have the teachers and the leaders point us to frown, and said, there is evil in your bones, Equality 7-2521, for your body has grown beyond the bodies of your brother. But we cannot change our bones, nor our body. And that, as I mentioned, is an excerpt from Ayn Rand, and it's called Anthem. So, if you like this story, and it's a world where you don't have individuality, that's why this Equality 7-2521 refers to, as if he was referring, if he was referring to himself, he refers to himself as we, because no one is alone and everybody is supposed to be the same. So Thank you for listening. If you're an author who wants your book to be on the show, go to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews /podcast for more information. And if you're an author and you want your book reviewed, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com for more information. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next week because I have more and more things to talk about, especially things that we read as a child. This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening. And always, be kind and stay safe. Thank you.